Hi everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome to Crossdressing Lifestyle. Welcome back. Are you thinking about going to a dressing service, but something is stopping you? Maybe you're a bit apprehensive, maybe a bit nervous because you don't know quite what to expect, or you simply just don't know where to start looking. Well, hopefully I can help you out with all of those things. I'm going to also be looking at what it's like to run a dressing service. And for those of you out there who may be considering even actually starting a dressing service, I hope to share a few pointers along the way. So, without further ado, let's get going. Before we start our actual search, what I would recommend is that you establish what your budget is, how far you are willing to travel to a dressing service, and more importantly, what type of service you're looking for. Are you looking for a makeover and go, a full dressing service for a number of hours, an advanced makeup lesson, a deportment lesson? Are you looking to go on a shopping trip, an evening out, a meal, visit a club? It's important that you establish all of these things in advance of actually putting finger to keyboard. So let's take it for granted that you've actually done all of that. We know what our budget is, we know roughly how far we want to travel, and exactly the type of service that we're after. So what do we do? Well, we can start in a couple of places. One I would recommend is just put dressing service into the search bar above and let Google do the work. Have a look through those and see if any of them literally grabs you. In other words, there may be pictures associated with some of them, or there may be some names that you are familiar with. So that's a good place to start. Facebook is also another good place to start because there are a lot of groups on Facebook, and probably, or more likely, you have a lot of friends on Facebook anyway, so ask them. So this is the information gathering stage here, and the more information you can gather, the better it is. So I would start off by obviously asking Google. I would possibly suggest going over and having a look at a website called tvchicks.com. We don't have any association with them, but I've always found over the years it's a pretty good reference site. They do have a section on dressing services, and when you pop into there you can actually do a search by sort of address, i.e. a county or a country, and each one of the dressing services on there has an individual profile that they fill out, and from there you can probably find their unique or individual website as well. So that's another good little reference point to have a look at. And bearing in mind at this stage, what we're actually doing is just gathering information on possible dressing services. Now, where do we go from here? Okay, so now at this stage we've probably got a list of several possible dressing services that match your criteria of within the budget. An acceptable distance for you to travel, and the most important thing is they do actually offer the range of services that you are particularly interested in. So now we need to find a way of narrowing that particular list down to hopefully the one perfect fit dressing service. Forgive the pun regarding a perfect fit, but we have to make contact in one way or another, and generally this can be done via either an email, or what I would recommend, if it's at all possible, is for you to pick up the phone and talk to them. And the reason why I recommend that is this is very much a person-to-person service, and it gives you the first opportunity to, how would I say, assess what the dressing service could possibly be like when you're talking to the person on the other end. Will this be the person that actually does the dressing service? Could they enlighten you and tell you a little bit more about their dressing service? Then maybe even their qualifications, if you like. Try and obtain as much information and build what I would call a mental picture up of them. I would also suggest, if at all possible, forgive me there, is that would the dressing service mind if you had a Skype call or a FaceTime call? And the reason why I suggest this to people is that it's a way of you getting a physical idea of what the place is. You know, ask them to walk you around the building or where they do the dressing service, or to show you things like what sort of wigs they may have available, what clothing they may have available. And I think that's a very good, it would give you a lot more confidence than just looking on a website and finding pictures. I think it's very important, that sort of humane contact that you can obtain by doing a face call or a Skype or just the phone call. So I would highly recommend that you do that. So by doing that, you can narrow your selection down, and you will eventually find one that you feel comfortable with. And that, to me, is the most important thing, that you feel comfortable. Because believe me, when you're in the car or in the train or on your way to the dressing service, you're going to start to have, or possibly have, second thoughts. And you know, the nerves really do kick in when you walk up to the door of the dressing service and press that bell or knock on that door. That's when any form of doubt will be sort of coming to the forefront. So I want to deal with that doubt and what it's like for the person or the persons on the other side of the door in the next section. In this section, what I want to have a look at is what it's like to run a dressing service, and why I consider it to be so important that you work with the makeup artist to ensure that you get the look that you really want to get, and you maximise the time whilst you're at the dressing service and get the most benefit possible. Now, when I'm talking about benefits, there are quite a lot of what I would consider benefits of going to a dressing service. The first one that jumps into my mind is that most of them should have quite a large array of wigs for you to try, and I would definitely implore you to try on as many wigs as possible, because you may be surprised at which style really does suit you. We have a lot of clients that come here with a preconceived idea of colour and length, and at the end of the session, what they find really works for them is nothing like the idea they first came in with. Also, you know, use the fact that dressing services have a lot of products that you maybe find expensive, or you want to have a look at before you invest in them. And what I'm primarily thinking of is things like silicone breast forms or silicone breastplates. You know, try them on, find out which shape may be good for you, maximize that particular facility as well. And also have a look at the clothing range. Try and get in as many changes as you can so you can establish a style. So establishing your style can take a little bit of time, and I would suggest that you look at both dresses and separates, which are sort of blouses and skirts, and find out what you feel comfortable in. Some people feel more comfortable in a blouse and a skirt because there's a little bit more flexibility in the sort of size differences than there are in dresses. So I would also probably guide you towards trying on a couple of different pairs of shoes, sort of open-toed shoes and sort of classic cork closed shoes. That way you can very quickly establish what actual size you are, and that may save you quite a bit of money going forward, especially if you're buying shoes on the internet, because you'll know with a bit more confidence which actual size will fit you. Now, moving on to a totally different subject altogether, and that's one to do with digital photography, really. It's something that I didn't really cover in the first part of what you should consider when you're going to a dressing service. Some dressing services include all the digital photography. I know we do, and other ones charge you extra based on the number of pictures or movies that they wish to shoot or you wish to shoot. Now, the aspect I want to really concentrate on is what you do with those particular pictures. We have a lot of our clients who don't mind allowing us to put their pictures up into our gallery, and you know, I'm very, very happy that they do that. But I always say to them, I need express permission from you before I do that in terms of writing, because the second that they're put up onto the internet, they could be subject to other people sort of copying them, if you know what I mean. And with the advent of technology these days, we never quite know where it's going in terms of facial recognition. So it's a consideration, I would say. It really is a consideration. It's not something I'm trying to frighten you with, but that's why I sort of say, because a dressing service doesn't have many photographs up, it doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of clients. We have a lot of photographs, and we've been lucky and blessed with a lot of clients. So specifically, what's it actually like to run a dressing service? Well, to be honest, I really love it because every client is different. It's a different challenge. They come from different backgrounds. We talk about lots of different things, and you know, it keeps me very, very sort of on my toes about how to create a look. I try my utmost never to recreate the same look on two people, and I always find it quite interesting when I look at other dressing services. I can literally, with a couple of them, tell you who's done the makeover by just looking at, I suppose, the finished article. So bear that in mind as well. So what is it that I really like about running a dressing service? The freedom of doing it. It's a fun job. I don't even really consider it a job, if I'm totally honest. I meet some fantastic people, and quite a few of them have become very close friends over the years, and we've had a lot of very good laughs and a lot of fun in sort of going out and exploring new looks with people. And it's always a challenge because no two people look exactly the same, and I never like to recreate a sort of like a standard look, because I believe that every individual should look different because we are different. So it's a great job. If you could call it a job, I call it a vacation, or a vocation more than anything else, and I really do love it. Now, what advice would I give to somebody that's looking to set up a dressing service? I think if I looked around me now and tried to count up all the cost of all of the items I got, I think I would have a heart attack, because we have literally tens of thousands of pounds worth of gear. Now, that didn't come overnight. Over the years, we've invested in things. We've got an awful lot of wigs, quite a lot of makeup. I must admit, you know, it's embarrassing how much makeup we've got. But all these things you need to invest in, and you need